let's talk about all that's happened. You traded Wiseman. You traded Poole. You traded Patrick Baldwin Jr. You even traded Ryan Rollins. That still leaves one young player on the team who struggled with the young-old disconnect as much as any of them. Maybe just almost as much as Poole. So, and you said something where you're right, but I'm thinking, oh boy, is that enough? And you said, well, there's minutes. There's minutes at backup 4 for Kuminga.
Yeah, he's basically the backup 4. There really isn't anybody else.
Well, if he's a backup 4 and Draymond plays as much as he played last year, and he probably won't, but
yeah, he gets opportunities to start for Draymond also.
That's not going to be enough for Warrior fans.
It's probably not going to be enough for Kuminga.
Exactly.
But there are minutes, and I think the Warriors have, at least to this point, planned out the roster in a manner where there are minutes for him. I mean, they don't view him as a 3. They've said that repeatedly. Right. I think he views himself as a 3. I've said this a ton, but I will reiterate, since it's been a while since I've been on, to me, that's where the disconnect is between what Kuminga believes he is and what the Warriors want him to be to give them the best chance to win. And I think that's where, like, Kuminga is like, I'm a 3. I want to put it on the deck, out on the wing. I want to shoot, drive and hit pull-up jumpers. I want to be a slasher. Like, I think he views himself one way. I think the Warriors view him as, we want you to be an on-ball defender. We want you to be a tenacious rebounder. We want you to be a ball mover. We want you to be a cutter that basically gets his offense, based on everything else that happens on the court in the context of what the Warriors do. And I think there have been times where he's done that. That Dallas game in toward the end of the season was one that stands out, where it was basically all defense, corner 3, cutting for dunks, like those kinds of things. And so, but I don't think that's really what he wants to be. And so, again, do the Warriors warm up to the fact, and this is an open-ended question, the answer so far has been no, they view him as a 4. Do they warm up to the fact that maybe they can use him as more of a 3 and a 4? Now, I think Moses Moody right now pencils to be the backup 3. But the question is, can they get him to be a productive player on a championship contending team while also allowing him to develop in the player that he wants to be and thinks he already is, I think, in many ways. And I think that's the trick. Like, that's the balance. He doesn't do enough of the things they want him to do. He may do some other things that are awesome and wow you, but he does not do. And if you've listened to Draymond talk about him and Steph talk about him, like, you can see, like, they're not fully on board. Again, I go back to, when I say, hey, Warrior fans, blame the big 3 for, this thing being run back and Poole not being around and all that. Well, blame the big 3 for the fact, like, they don't think Kuminga is doing the right things to get on the court consistently.
This is where a lot of people, JD, on the text line would be like, how do you know, Steiny? How do you know? It sounds to me like you're just guessing.
Don't talk about that.
You're really going to say that?
Who was Steph Curry calling out before Game 7 against Sacramento?
I think Poole
Jordan
mostly.
Poole and Jonathan Kuminga.
Probably.
And Kuminga was part of it. I'll read an excerpt from, I think it was Ron Kroichek when Steph was in Tahoe.
Okay.
And you guys may have talked about it. But this is a quote from the story. Here's the Steph Curry quote. "It's a challenge to figure out how to elevate your game and also fit within the system and what makes a winning team," Curry said. "I know JK is working hard this summer and trying to take the necessary steps to be part of a winning rotation. All the nuances you have to learn." That's Steph freaking Curry on Jonathan Kuminga. That's like,
let me tell you what
mic drop.
Let me tell you what I think there's an issue with.
It's the franchise.
Let me tell you what
Not me or you or Steve Kerr.
No. JD, you are hard on Kuminga, though.
Yeah. Because I had the foresight. Like, when do I get my flowers on that, by the way?
You can
I know
have
it's been
them.
a while. When do I get my flowers?
After year 3.
When do I get my... No. Because I'm not talking about his career. Because I still think he has a lot of potential. What I'm talking about is when do I get my flowers specifically for in the Sacramento series after game 2 saying he was unplayable? When do I... Because I don't feel like I've fully gotten my flowers for that one.
I'll give you...
Because I was ahead of the curve on that one. Everybody wants to... Where are my flowers? That's part like a prerequisite. Where are my flowers at?
Okay. Well, you know what?
For being right
unfortunately,
about his unplayability in that series.
All right. JD, here's the problem. You do get a dozen flowers. I get 6.
Who's your favorite player?
Jonathan Kuminga.
Wow, the high flyer.
Yeah, he's going to have trouble getting off the bench this series, kid. Just a little funny thing from them. But anyway,
and I kid.
I know.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
None of that matters.
You know, and
the Warriors are right now. The Warriors are planning on him playing next year. Like they haven't blocked his spot at all.
But 20 minutes a game.
Well, yeah, 25.
Well, I know. And
2025.
Right.
I mean, not everybody's going to be healthy every game.
That's not enough for some Warrior fans.
Steph Curry, quote, "It's a challenge to figure out how to elevate your game and also fit within the system and what makes a winning team. I know JK is working hard this summer and trying to take the necessary steps to be part of a winning rotation, all the nuances you have to learn." That's what it is. But that's what it is. It's can he do the things that the coaching staff and the other veteran players want. It's not about can he become a superstar, right? It's not about that. He may become that. Like, I think he's really freaking talented. But the Warriors don't care as much about 2026 Jonathan Kuminga as they do about 2023-24 Jonathan Kuminga and how he can help this team win. Because if he can do the things they want him to do, then he actually could be a pretty significant wild card as to improving them over the team that they were this past year.
888-957-9570 is the number. You want to jump in on the conversation? The one thing I just feel like Kuminga right now is the one guy on the team who I don't want to say doesn't fit, but that kind of the collective really assessed what they've done in the offseason and how it may affect Kuminga. By the way, I want to make one thing. When we talk about the Warriors' young players and a disconnect, I think we must officially exclude Moses Moody.
Yeah, he's a veteran.
Exactly.
He acts like a veteran.
Exactly.
He's a young player, but he acts like a veteran, which is why he was able to play.
Exactly.
And I have said this too.
You think the big guys have trouble with Moses Moody?
No.
Of course
I just think he's a little bit of a tweener sometimes in terms of
position.
I just think positionally they considered him a guard, but then when he would play the guard spot, he just wasn't quite quick enough to be a guard. I think at times maybe he isn't quite long enough to be a wing. To me, it's more about that. And then his effectiveness when he's out there. I mean, if he had made threes the way he did in the playoffs, if he had made threes at that level in the regular season, he would have been playing in the regular season, but he didn't make shots in the regular season. He did play. Kuminga being unplayable allowed Moses Moody to get an opportunity because that's who started playing when Kerr altered the rotation, and it started in that game 2 against the Kings. He said, "All right, Moses, go in there." And it was kind of a throw my hands up, you're the next guy, I'm just going to give you a chance. And he played well enough for the rest of the playoffs to be out there every single game. So that's a credit to him. So yeah, no, I don't think he is necessarily included, but he's still got to show he can do it in the regular season.
Right. I'm talking more, he was not a part, I don't think he was a part of disconnect with the veterans.
Not at all.
Yeah. Jay's in Brooklyn. Hey, Jay, what's going on, man?
Hey, y'all can hear me good?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. I'm a first-time caller. I always listen to y'all guys, but the reason why I wanted to make a phone call, because the other day, a caller called up, and they was telling y'all how Kerr doesn't develop players. And one of you said Looney and Green is great examples. And that just angered me, so I had to call in and push back on that.
That they worked?
Reason why Looney and Green kind of worked for y'all to use as an example is because they just role players. Like, see, when Wiseman was on Golden State, right? Wiseman, anybody could see he's a 20-10 guy, future All-Star. Same thing with Kuminga. But Kerr, he likes to turn those guys into just role players. And nobody likes that. So I can't blame the young guys for feeling, not comfortable with that. You can't make everybody a loony and a green. Nobody wants to be just a role player when they clearly have all-star potential. Because when the playoffs come, Steph Curry needs scoring help. So if we get bumped in the playoffs this year, I don't want to hear no excuses about Curry need more help. He need more scoring help. Because you take the alpha out of the guys who has it in them. You want everybody to just be role players? Like, I'm fully convinced if we drafted Jimmy Butler, literally right now, let's say the world didn't know who Jimmy Butler was. If we drafted Jimmy Butler right now, Kerr would use him like a Jason Hart type player. Like, I don't know what's up with this dude. Like, he can't develop a code in the wintertime. He tries to turn everybody into just role players, system players, when they clearly got more talent than that, man.
Appreciate it, Jay. The only thing I'd push back on is very few players come into the league. Like, I'm sorry if you get drafted by the Golden State Warriors, there's only one way to become a star, and that's to become a role player first.
Yeah. Nobody says you got to do that forever. Again, nobody's trying to limit Kuminga's future potential. They just want to get him on the floor now in ways that he can help.
Can I tell you something that's starting to hit me not in a great way?
If he played more like a hustle player than a guy who thinks he's a little too cool out there a lot of the time.
He can be.
When he plays like a hustle player, when he's flying around on defense, when he's getting in position to dunk, when he's cutting, when he's doing those things, he is a helpful player. When he's high motor, when he's trying to get rebounds, but too often he's kind of low motor, and that's a problem. It is.
And I'm not sure that
it's not every game. It's some games he's got it, and some games he doesn't.
But I don't expect him to be a different player attitude-wise next year.
Well, he needs to be, or I think he's gone.
Well, I think he may be gone anyway, and I wouldn't
Well, that
trade
goes back to this Rudy Gay thing.
Right.
Because, if they're...
Can I tell you one thing that
if they're really trying to sign Rudy Gay, that's he would take minutes from Kuminga.
No doubt.
Unless they're all of a sudden going to have this paradigm shift of Kuminga's a 3.
Right. The one thing, and you said this a little, and I think you were doing it for effect, but I'm gonna take you up on it, and even if it is overstated, I'm gonna question it. There's a difference here between the Warriors doing right by the big three and the Warriors' big three kind of making the decisions. And I get the big three wants to stay together, but if that's not what's best for your team, the hell with them. You cannot.
At some point, they may have to do that, but they clearly were nowhere near thinking about that now.